ఏమనిపిస్తుంది ఏమి రావట్లేదు.
Hi, good morning. I hope I'm audible.
You are audible, sir.
Okay.
Volume, sir.
I'll be back in a short while.
Dear participants, good morning to one and all. Welcome to third day of Faculty Development Program sponsored by Acharya Nagarjuna University, Rusa 2.0. It is a 1 week faculty development program. Already we completed 2 days. The third day. Daily we have 2 sessions. The first session will start today at 10:30 a.m.
జాయిన్ అవ్వమన్నారు నాకేం వాయిస్ వినబడుతుంది.
Roshankumar sir Palekar. So one of our faculty member is going to introduce the sir. The faculty development program title is Next Generation Drug Discovery Leveraging AI Tools in Advanced Pharmaceutical Research and Regulatory Innovations. Pavani ma'am, please come ma'am. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and respected colleagues, it's my privilege to introduce Professor Roshankumar Palewar, a pharmaceutical strategy and commercialization leader with over 2 decades of global experience across research and development, regulatory systems, and market execution. Dr. Palewar has held senior leadership role in multinational pharmaceutical organizations, including Merck, Novartis, Sandoz, Waghot, Dr. Reddy's laboratories. During his tenure at Merck and Novartis, he contributed to global R&D leadership across complex technical and project management portfolios within highly regulated environments. He currently serves as Group CEO of Dr.Roshankumar Global Solutions, where he focuses on pharmaceutical commercialization strategy, regulatory governance, and health system integration. As a professor of practice and advisor, he actively bridges academia and industry, mentoring future healthcare leaders while aligning education with real world execution frameworks. Where the course of his career, he has contributed to research and development life cycle management of more than 400 pharmaceutical products and has led large cross-functional teams across international markets. Today, he joins us to share his insights drawing from deep industry leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Dr. Roshankumar Palewar. Sir, I am handovering mic to you, sir. Please continue, sir.
Cloud.
Sir, good morning, sir. Are you there when I am reading the introduction, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Very fine. Good morning. Yeah.
Good morning, sir. Are you clear with the introduction, sir?
I'm ready. I mean, please proceed.
Sir, did you started that cloud recording, sir?
No, are you getting some echo kind of thing? Shall I start the recording, Windows?
Your voice is not clear, sir.
Okay, let me then plug in the Bluetooth. Actually, it's in the cabin, so might be slight echo, but let me try another way.
Sir, did you started that cloud recording, sir?
Not it, not it. Sure.
Sir, please start that cloud recording, sir.
Okay, just 1 minute. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please proceed, ma'am.
Sir, introduction completed, sir.
Okay, so fine, fine. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, and dear all the faculties, all the participants, students, and all the viewers of today's session, very fine good morning to everyone, and namaste to all of you. This is Dr. Roshankumar Palewar, and as we have the wonderful introduction already, with all due respect of time and with presence of everyone's, I think we are good to go. If everything is fine, we can start the presentation. I just need the final confirmation from your side. Shall we? Okay, good morning once again. Yeah. Okay. Is the screen visible to all of you?
Yes, sir, it is clear now.
Okay, great. So thanks for the confirmation. As I said, today's topic is very interesting, and not just interesting, but in the real context is very much useful in day-to-day life. In fact, the entire world is shifting its all the way of operations by using the AI, artificial intelligence. And today's topic is from algorithm to approval, and that to be from regulatory strategy and commercialization playbook for the AI-enabled drug discovery. Since I'm coming hardcore from the pharmaceutical industry, um, I have the first-hand experience how the drug discovery happens, how the product development happens for various regulated market, and on top of that, how the advanced technologies are absolutely in use in various operations, various applications, various functionality in day-to-day life in the industry, right? Having said that, as the AI is evolving, and we are also as a end user, we are trying to understand how it functions. But on top of that, the industries, the various organization at national and international level, and even the IT industries are using AI in their operations. So when it comes to drug discovery or the product development or the various unit operations happens in the industry, how AI is shaping the entire future. And on top of that, while we build the product, while we build the formulations, while we build the certain line of functions, whatever the data get generated in the form of dossier, we submit to the regulatory authority, right? So regulatory authority is the body who takes the final decision whether we should proceed for the approval or not. And once we get the approval, we can then launch the product in the commercial market. So regulation is at par, and as the AI is also taking shape in the operations, how the regulatory bodies are looking at it, how the data is being analyzed there, and how the final decision happens in the real world. So let's understand that aspect. That is how the more of perspective in today's presentation. We'll touch upon various key aspects, and then whatever the doubts or any concerns or questions that you have, you can certainly straightforward you can ask in between, or we have dedicated a session towards the end where we're going to address all the questions. On top of that, if time permits, definitely we're going to have some practical aspects or some kind of case studies by which we'll get the better visibility and clarity, right? So with that particular note, let's start. So as we talk about AI, and before we get into the depth of uh, the perspective, let's understand from the broader angle, from the eagle view perspective, right? How AI is actually working and how altogether the industry is all about, right? So when we talk about the AI in healthcare, especially this market, from the global perspective, here is the complete screen, the snapshot, the forecast, and everything from 2024 till 2030. So what's interesting, if you look at the graph on right hand side, where the X and Y axis, the X axis talks about the years and the Y axis all about the US dollar in the billions. That is a global market. As of 2024, this has already been at par, and which is crossing heavily in the entire you know global market. And as the AI is evolving, the trend is also been increasing in a regular my point of view. The 2024 and 2025 versus 2030. So this is highly promising future, which gives the clarity on how the AI is actually shaping the pictures in the real world, and the market, which is driven on various angles, especially like if you look into 2024, it was hardly approx $15 billion market, whereas in 2025 it crossed, and it as of today is approx 21.6, let's say $22 billion, whereas in 2030 the jump is very much high is expected, and that to be a growth of CAGR of around 79%, which sorry, 38%, which talks about the numbers around $110 billion. At one point, it was $15 billion, and now is going to be $110 billion. So this is a drastic growth. And because of the rapid use of AI in various functionalities, including diagnostic, imaging, clinical outcomes, as well as from the pharmaceutical perspective, drug development, drug discoveries, drug trials, pharmacovigilance, and so forth, so on, right? So there is a great demand. There is a great adoption in the real market, and that to be adoption rate is around 79%, especially talking from the healthcare organization, healthcare sector point of view, right? And this is going to be very much promising, and AI is the actual revolution in the entire global scale, right? So from that, as a participants, what we take from this particular data or the information or the message is that, first of all, no matter what's happening, market is growing, and it's just not growing, it's a very strong market, right? But adoption, again, that will be a challenge because it depends upon the trust, depends upon the context of its use, and also depends upon is the final validation when it comes to the operations, and ultimately without any bias checks, right? So if this is happening, there is a, the uncertainty which has been, if it has been taken care, and most importantly from the regulation point of view, which is called the governance and ultimately documentation. So if we take care of this particular system, the crux of today's presentation is all about how trust can be built, how the context of use can be created, how the validation can smoothly happen, how the bias can be avoided, where the different checks can be implemented, necessary governance, and the ultimate documentation. So if we take care of it, then I think AI is in the better shape to run the operations and get the outcome in a long run, right? So I hope the message is clear to all of us, right? Now, the intention of giving the clarity or the focus on the real market is to help understand how the entire industry is growing, how the market is trending. And since from the academic perspective and also from the learning perspective, how the industry and academia collaboration happens, and we can enhance the futuristic molecule development and the output. Right. So let's get precisely in the micro level now, and let's talk about that. So why algorithm approval is the hard part in the entire segment, right? One perspective is why algorithm, and then ultimately the approval, which is taken care by the regulatory. So let's understand that not just the AI, but most of the AI value is lost at the translation, right? At one point, we are giving the solutions, or let's say we are making the process to happen in a certain way as it is expected. And when we translate into the reality, or let's say from the regulatory interface point of view, then how the AI is smoothly been transitioned, that is something of AI value addition that we need to understand it. And if AI can accelerate the discovery, of course, which is happening in the real world, but approval ultimately depends upon the decision which has been taken mostly on the, not only on the evidence, but also the scientific data, the dossier analysis, dossier reviews, and ultimate satisfaction at the regulatory bodies, whether it's the US FDA, whether it's the EU GMP, Europe facilities, or whether it's the TGA Australia facility, or whether it's a WHO, World Health Organization, or even the Indian FDA as per the market is concerned. So every single regulatory bodies is ultimately going to approve the advanced dossiers, provided it meets the endpoint, it's gives the clarity of evidence, and the documentation is foolproof. If that happens, AI is definitely the game changer in the industry, right? And therefore, it's very important to understand how the AI is functioning, number one, and how regulatory is scanning the data. What's their lens? What are the different tools, or what are the different approaches they are looking at the data? All right. So let's get into it. Let's understand, first of all, the problems, what the problems that has been faced. First of all, the common problem statement here is the common failure mode, right? Great model performance, yes, the AI is performing well without a clear context of use, COU. So clear context of use and the validation plan. These two aspects we are going to discuss in depth today. So you can note down the context of use, COU, right? This is something we have to clarify, we have to get insight into it and then understand it, because this is the major problem. At one point, AI is a great model, right? But at the same time, when it's a transition happens, right, whether the validation is successful or not, because we are not just using the AI as a layman, but we are using the AI in the real drug discoveries, in the real drug development, in the real clinical as well as healthcare setup. So therefore, every single the use or application is directly impacting the health of the patient in the form of the medicine which has been developed using the technologies, right? So therefore, the clinical iteration remains high, and of course the timelines and the cost of which is for the entire development is a very significant. Irrespective of whether it's a better tool, we have to have a balanced approach, a validated approach, where AI is being used without impacting the biases, without impacting the end efficacy and the drug release profiling of the drugs, right? So that's problem statement. We will going to see how the solutions that we have, how we can implement in the real life. Okay, so as we move forward, the session outcomes, the solution is ultimately, as a participant or as a learner, how we can take away the messages, and ultimately how we understand the placement of AI tools correctly, appropriately across the drug life cycle, and also identify where regulators focus their questions, right? So this two aspect is the ultimate outcome from entire presentation, which is ultimately algorithm to approval from the regulatory strategy and commercial perspectives, right? So roadmap is absolutely clear, where the life cycle map where AI fits and what decision it supports. That is the ultimate we are going to see, right? From the end-to-end perspective, how the life cycles, end-to-end life cycles, and not just the algorithms drive the outcomes, right? So one point is uh, first of all, the AI has to be used, which is called anchoring effect in the entire decision making. So we have the typically in the entire development phase, whether it's in drug discovery or whether it's the drug development from the generic perspective or from the formulation development perspective, every product, every molecule, every compound, every project which is going from the development has to go from the certain decision making phase, right? Whether we say it's a go or no go decisions, right? And these decisions, these choices is completely depend upon the kind of outcome coming from the processes or coming from the development while using the regular standard procedures, right? So this is the checkpoint. Any development in the entire life cycle, we have to take a decision, go or no go decisions, and this comes with the risk. And for that matter, we need to understand how AI can anchor our decisions. So this particular phase, go and no go, will be impacting our final outcome accordingly, right? Now let's come on the drug discovery perspective, the paradigm shift in the drug discovery. So far, I think all of us are aware that drug discovery is a pretty risky phase, which is not only time consuming, approx like total 20 years is time, 14 years goes in the drug discovery, rest 5 to 6 years we get for the commercialization, right? Whereas it's a risky phase, it's a highly risky, because one molecule, one uh, drug discovery, which takes approximately $2 billion as a cost. And if anything goes wrong during the entire phase of development, from the preclinical to clinical trials, from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials, and ultimately the dossier approval, if anything goes wrong in between the phases, the entire cost of development goes into the wind. And therefore, not all Indian pharmaceutical companies, or let's say most of the pharmaceutical companies, are going into the drug discovery because it's very costly. But now that was the past. Because of the AI, there's a complete shift, and this paradigm shift is actually boosting the drug discovery, which helping to save a cost, and not just that, time equally. So the timeline of development, especially from the preclinical phase, has been enhanced, and which is, I think we're going to discuss in depth in the subsequent points. Let's understand how data driven science actually makes a lot of impact, right? So when it comes to the drug discovery, there is a shift from trial and error to data driven science. Like earlier, a lot of development used to happen, the trial used to happen to see, okay, how the outcome is going to be. If it is coming well, fine, let's freeze that. If not, then do again trial. So basically it's a trial and error model that used to been implemented or be used to use in the industry. But now there is a completely data driven science because of the AI. So AI is shaping in helping in that way. Again, it's a clinical and real world evidence. So we have the all the data sets, all the parameters, the outcome is coming, which has been analyzed, and then clinical and real world evidences has been generated. So scientists are evolving, now. When I say evolving, I mean to say the technical know-how, technical scientific foundational knowledge versus a technological adoption or technological evolution. And that is, the scientists are trying to understand, trying to get familiar with the technologies, so that the day-to-day operation becomes very smooth, right? And therefore, the scientists are evolving from data generators to decision architects. So we will be able to take decisions very softly, effectively, in a short period of time while analyzing the huge data sets, right? So there is a shift completely. And on the other side, there is an explosion of genomics. There's a proteomics and the omics data. So there is a lot of development, lot of explosion is happening. There is a computational power that we have. We can review, we can analyze a huge scientific data sets, different packages in a short period of time by use of the technology, especially artificial intelligence. There is called then automation. There is a machine learning, MI. So a lot of things are actually in the day-to-day life, especially from the industry point of view, it's happening, right? And these are the key factors which is driving the science in today's modern world. Yeah. So let's understand the drug development stages and how AI is intercepting, or how AI is actually playing a critical role in various stages of drug development. So let's see the AI in the target identification. There are various phases of the drug discovery. So one of the key phases is a target identification, right? So in that, how AI is helping in depth. First of all, is the integration of the genomics and the proteomics and the data disease pathway. Here, AI comes into the pictures. Other side, there is a networking of the pharmacology for the system level understanding, right? So the pharmacological functionalities and the networking is being effectively been implemented or understood by the AI, right? And thereby the identification of novel and the clinical relevant targets. So the compounds that which is under the scope of drug discovery, you all of us know that at least more or less 20,000 compounds get screened at the early preclinical phase, and out of that hardly 100 compounds goes for the next phase, and out of that, when it comes to the studies, hardly 5 molecules goes for the phase one. Now, because of the AI, all such massive preclinical studies can be done effectively in a short period of time. So identification and also navigating the or let's say identifying the novel pharmacological action or the effect of this compound, and where to be targeted, as per the targeted drug and the targeted disease mapping is concerned, right? So here the AI comes into the picture, right? And there are the higher probability of the clinical success, right? Because earlier it's a trial and error basis, whereas now we can entirely rule out all the failures, all the chances of non-performances at early phase itself, and we can choose and pick the certain compounds which is going to be highly effective. So the clinical success rate is being increased because of the AI, and because the AI can shape all the operations effectively, the better targets, better drugs, and the better patient outcome is certainly possible. So basically what you see, there is an integration of the AI in the pharmaceutical drug discovery phases. And therefore, what we realize today, what we should learn from the certain applications is that artificial intelligence is actually revolutionizing the entire phase of pharmaceutical development, and ultimately from the drug discovery to delivery. So the entire life cycle, which is happening very fast, is called the faster innovation, and with the higher accuracy and personalized care for the patients, right? So this is the AI is actually used in the target identification. Am I clear here? Right. So let's get into the second aspect. Please feel free to ask anything in between if you feel so, and we can definitely address that quickly if any doubts are there, any clarity is needed in that case, right? The second aspect, okay, this is giving the much broader perspective and visibility how the AI in the lead discovery and the optimization phase. So this is called the virtual screening and the predictions, which used to happen in the real life. Now the AI is actually helping us to visualize and create the screening models virtually, and thereby we can predict the outcome, the target molecules accordingly. So virtual screening of millions of compounds, right? Earlier, as I mentioned, 10,000 to 20,000 compounds. Now we have the AI. AI has a much better capability. So rather than limiting our screening process to a certain numbers, we can evaluate, analyze to millions of compounds, right? And then we can definitely do QSAR, quantification, right? The structural activity relationship, and then identifying the structural activity and giving the predictions very accurately. So this can be, effective by use of the AI. And then de novo AI design molecules, where the basis the preliminary screening, let's say virtual screening of the compounds and the structural activity relationship, the it's called the de novo AI design molecules. We get certain molecules which has been shortlisted, which has been funneled out very precisely as per the requirement, as per the lead identification or the target identification, right? And there is called the early prediction of ATMAT properties. So we can straightforward come to the prediction conclusion at early phase, right? And why this is happening, this all because of the AI at various models, various tools, and this actually helping us to get the reduced cost, absolutely a shorter timeline, and improved success rates. So if you see the entire progression here, which is used to take place approx 6 years in the drug discovery preclinical phases, which could be happen within a let's say a month time frame because of the AI plugged into the systems, right? So this is like AI into the lead discovery phase or the optimization phases, right? Now AI has a different role to play here. AI in the preclinical development, as I mentioned, there is a different phases, and there are the phase like in silico toxicity prediction. So AI is precisely been used in silico modeling. There is a PK PD modeling and the simulation, which has been AI helping us to get the outcome very systematically. There is called the improved candidate selections before animal studies, right? So even we go for the animal studies with these so-called so many compounds, we can curtain down that entire research to very limited molecules because we already done the heavy screening, virtual screening there itself, and we have the different models to simulate the situations and see the pharmacological actions with respect to toxicities and all that aspect, right? It also supports the ethical research, right? And therefore, AI is actually boosting the overall preclinical development phase in the real life, right? AI is also been used in the clinical trials, which is exclusively for the precision in the decision, which is helping us to get the precise, results, the outcomes, right? The patient satisfaction and the precision medicines. There, the AI has been placed. The predictive recruitment and the retention of the outcomes. There, the AI has been used, right? We have the smarter trials with the higher probability of approval, right? So you can visualize the applications in the real world, how AI is actually shaping the entire operations, right? There is adaptive and the decentralized trial designs where we can enhance drastically and integration of the real world evidences. So basically, the bottom line is that when it comes to clinical trials, the precision we can achieve with the AI, we can design the entire trials, protocols, and outcome as per the expectations. So this has been heavily been implemented in current world, right? Now, on as extension of the applications, AI is also being used in the pharmacovigilance, right? And now the interesting aspect is called the automation, where the entire pharmacovigilance can be automated to identify the various adverse event detection happening across the geography, then continuous giving the signal for the monitoring from the real world data. So any adverse reaction being addressed or filed any part of the world can be immediately be analyzed, and we can start giving the outcomes or support accordingly, right? So there's a called a dynamic benefit risk assessment, which has been possible with the heavy data sets, stronger patient safety and the systems, right? So we have the better patient safety because we can analyze this very effectively, and the key relevance for the pharmacists and the regulatory professionals, because pharmacovigilance happens after the product get commercialized and available in the market, right? So the pharmacist, who is the end user or end service provider at the pharmacy shop, which is who is dispensing the medicines and giving to the patients, and any adverse reactions. Basically, there are 2 points where ADR has been noted. One at the clinical setup, where the physicians, after getting the patient complaints, he can file the ADR, and secondly at the pharmacy counters, where they can also observe and file the ADRs. So regulatory professionals are getting very effective decisions, very smooth interpretations of the ADR because of the entire monitoring and automations by use of the AI. Right. So on that, now let's come to the, so far we saw the different applications and everything, and there are many more. However, I'm highlighting the very critical or the very important applications from the drug discovery perspectives, right? So now let's understand the crux of the entire, propositions, right? So context of use, COU, the single most important translation concept, right? So what exactly this framework, how the context of use, COU framework actually is critical for the translation, where we have the concept and where we want the reality. So it is bridging that gap and giving the outcome as per the desired, parameters. So the context is very important in the AI, right? So COU, context of use, defines what particular, how and what model has been allowed to do and not to do, and ultimately giving how its output will be used. So basically two aspects. The COU framework in the AI algorithms, it defines the various models, or let's say very specific model in the, let's say, drug identification phase. It will allow what has supposed to be done in the process, right? So this is a gate check at the AI framework or COU framework. And then the second aspect is like the output, how the output should be used. Now, if I give a very layman example over here, I think all of us or most of us are familiar with the The AI tools certainly very commonly been used to say, let's say ChatGPT, for example. So any user giving the certain command, certain queue request questions into the feeding system, and whatever we say, whatever we ask, we get the responses in a fraction of seconds. Now this is very basic. Okay, but what if you give a very precise prompt? Okay, as per your desire, as per your outcome, as per your expectations, if you define the model itself, what you exactly need or what kind of research that you want to do it, and you have the very precise prompt, that will define how it's going to perform. And then secondly, the outcome, right? So it's very basic that we're using it, but when it comes to the drug discovery, we cannot simply give the commands and expect the outcome as per the desired way. So we have to define the model, we have to define the pathways, we have to define how the parameters will be effective, what are the different endpoints that we are expecting, right? And therefore, as we are precisely setting the entire context of use, okay, because AI we are going to use anyway, but we have the context well defined, well frameworked, well structured, well prompted, then the outcome will be accordingly. So this is the important aspect. And I think if you let's say this is the heart of the AI, if you understand this basic framework, then we can get anything that we wanted as outcome from the AI tools, right? So focus here, this is like we have to refine ourselves, what different level of prompts, different complexities, different sequence, different structures can be put into the framework. And if you're clear on this, then definitely outcome will be desired as we want it, right? It's clear to all of us. I just want the you can just chat, say yes, you got this framework. I want the responses from everyone. Let me see, in the chat box. Yes, are you able to chat? Okay, I'm just literally waiting for the responses. Yes. Okay, I got it, like from Hani, from Dr. Sheikh. Okay, responses are coming up because let's engage. It's not a monotonous or one-way channel of communication. We equally, responsible for getting the quality of outcome from this particular session, right? Thank you, Mr. Santosh, and all who has responded in the chat box, right? So let's keep yourself engaged on the screen on various ways. Learning is a two-way process. So yeah, great, thank you. So from this COA framework, let's get into the other aspect, and that how we can then see the regulatory confidence. Now let's switch from AI to regulatory angle. Now the regulatory confidence is equal to evidence stack. So regulatory is not going to simply depend upon whatever the files that you're going to submit. It is going to see the evidences, the kind of scientific data that has been generated, the different stacks, different data sets, different outcome that has been filed in the form of dossier. It completely depends upon that. So regulatory confidence boost basis the different high level of evidence that has been generated, not a single metric, not a single parameter, but the entire cohesive outcome, evidence-based outcome. So clinical and the biological plausibilities will going to define how the regulatory approval going to happen. So we have to build that level of our dossiers, scientific evidence-based, so that the regulatory approval happens very smoothly, right? So this is something, as a provider, we have to analyze, we have to put our data systematically in the dossier sets, so that the timely approval happens from the regulatory body, and we can minimize the back and forth mechanism of review. Because any data, any dossier which has been submitted to the authority, right, they are going to analyze, they are going to review it, and they are going to come back with the their feedback or any kind of additional inputs they are needed. So if our package, our dossier is well loaded with the all data sets, with all scientific evidences and the clinical aspect, obviously the chances of back and forth questionnaires or back and forth mechanism of review can be reduced, and we can expect the approval timely, right? So when we talk about the data, there is obviously the governance, right? So data governance, the fastest way to build the trust. So as a regulatory body, completely depend upon the kind of data that we generate, the dossier that we submit, right? How uh, systematically, how effectively we are going to submit those data will build the trust, right? So data governance is something basic aspect. So minimum expectation for a defensible data set, preference and the traceability. So as we submit the very loaded data using the AI outcomes basis, right, we can expect the governance very smoothly. The regulatory approval happens effectively in that way, right? Now, what another angle from the AI application or AI tool or the model is the validation, because regulatory body are absolutely, regulatory will come later on, but before that, as a decision making body within the organization, we have to see this on a scientific level, the kind of outcome that we got are those outcomes are repeatable, can be validated, can we have the level of accuracy to the highest level possible? If so, the model has to be validated. The model has the essential good enough qualities or the good enough parameters in the modeling, which ensures the, let's say, lowest or no error into the entire framework, and we get the baseline as a standard, right? So if you build that validations at early phase itself, so then we have the high level of trust and the accuracy to use the AI on a regular basis, right? Yes, I think I'm getting the message like, sir, can you give information regarding the AI tools used in the clinical trials? Yes, definitely. I will quote very precise examples over here. In the anyway, we are in the coming slides. We have captured that that as well. So definitely, I'm going to tell you which are the different tools been used in the industry, specifically, right? Yeah. So let's move forward. The validation is a important aspect. So after the validation, what the other angle makes a lot of difference is the explainability. Whether the model is capable enough to explain, right? Not just the explainability angle, but the traceability. So whatever the process that we set into the AI, whether it's able to define the path, as I said in the validations, and if so, the analysis or the review mechanism where we can trace the evidences which be being generated, if that has been happening, and that's enough sufficient understanding decision points where we can trust or rely on the model, which actually talks about the trust factors. If we define these things very clearly and we have the reproducible results and traceable results, then definitely those models can be implemented in a large scales to get the better outcome. So this angle have been evaluated at the IT level as well as at the industrial scientific level, so that before we use it into the regular practice, it has to be trustworthy in that way. So model life cycle governance is worsening, and the monitoring change control. Now, the change control or the governance are the key aspect. The regulatory grade model governance includes the version control and the reproducible training environment. So what this exactly means, the AI model which has been used in the development phase, okay, whether we have the governance where we can control the versions, okay, different versions has a different outcome as well. So we can, whether we can control it, whether we can get the reproducible training components in the model itself. If so, the governance could be more smoothly, more effective, more acceptable from the application perspective, right? And when it comes to AI, especially from the ADME, uh, point of view, the toxicological studies or the DMPK studies or the different predictions models that we use, which we call as a decision grade models, right? So if the AI is been actually used for the high impact use cases for the early safety flags, there are various. Okay, I think here are the few of the examples for the metabolic stabilities for the DDIs and the exposure predictions. So I think we're going to have the case studies at the end of the presentations as part of the practical angle. So we're going to see how the AI is being used in the toxicological studies, specifically for the HERG or the DILI flag systems, right? The metabolic stability and all that. So that is going to be seen in the practical aspect. Now, while we are boasting or using the AI, talking too much good about it, but also there are the certain limitations, there are certain ethical consideration that we must choose or must see to get the further outcome, or let's say the approval. So what are those limitation or the consideration that we have to see? There are a lot of challenges in the AI implementation, right? So let's evaluate that. What are the different concerns? What are the different challenges and how we can overcome those also? First of all, the data bias and the quality concerns, right? Whether the AI is giving the consistent same output by giving the same commands, same prompts, same a sequence of structures. If you are getting some same results, then it's fine, which is called the validation. If not, there is certain biases. AI is actually doing it. So AI itself is a learning. It's learned from the all algorithm. What are the different data sets that we have been plugged into, and he also learns from the outcome he has generated. Okay, so but there are the quality concerns that has to be minimized or that has to be controlled, right? Then regulatory acceptance challenges, right? As the regulatory body is also trying to understand the technologies, okay, they are dependent upon the traditional approach of evidence-based analysis and reviews. So there is a challenge from the regulatory to accept the completely, a data set or dossier which is completely generated by the AI, right? So there are challenges how we can overcome. We're going to see that as well, right? The AI supports decisions, right? It does not replace the scientific judgment. And here is the crux. Here is a very important aspect, as the AI is helping us to get the scientific outcome in a very precise way. But when it comes for the decision making, is not going to change the scientific judgment, right? So here the human angle comes into the pictures. AI is able to give the outcome, but ultimately decision, should be or must be taken by the human mind, scientific minds, so that we have the better control. Because there are chances AI might be biased in the data, right? That is the. Then the explainability of the AI decisions. In case we are completely rely on the AI decisions, then are we able to explain it? Whether the AI is able to explain the kind of logic, kind of um, prompts executed by the AI, right? So there is a concern, there is a challenge, right? And ultimately, the ethical responsibility towards the patients. So the level of AI being used in the development, we have to see the more of legality, more of ethical practices, and if we're complying with that, then definitely AI is a helping greatly in the entire discoveries. Now, what are the different translation challenges? So these are the challenges from the concept to a reality, from the real world, right? So how the translation or the transition happens, and if so, how the challenges, first of all, let's see the challenges, right? So the translational challenge is called as the value of death. Now, what exactly is value of death and what are the different key issues? If you see, there are many promising discoveries failed to reach patients. Here I can quote the very live example. When I was working earlier with the Dr. Reddy's, at that particular point of time, there was one candidate molecule for the oncological segment for the oncological treatment, right? Which is called as a balaglitazone. So it was heavily been smartly been developed, but it got failed at the phase 2 trial. So it's a massive loss to the organization because of the heavy expenses of development, right? So there are the many discoveries, which is called a promising discoveries, which but likely to be failed to reach to the end user, which is a patient. So there are the issues, the gap between the laboratory success and the clinical reality. So whatever the success that we get at the laboratory level, at the R&D level, whether the same success is a replicable or achievable at the clinical phases or not, that is something called the issues or challenges. Weak alignment between the what do you call the industry, academia, and the regulation, right? So the amalgamation or the integration or the collaboration between all three functionalities can enhance the drug development or drug discovery aspect in greatly, right? So such issues can be minimized. Translation is a real bottleneck when it comes to the pharmaceutical sciences, because it's a heavy scientific environment, and we are truly dependent upon the scientific evidence-based outcome rather than just a prompt-based outcome, right? So the translation real challenge bottleneck is here itself. So what are the different precise bottlenecks, which is called a main bottleneck in the entire this one? Poor predictive disease models. There are certain models which are not able to give the predictions effectively. Limited reproducibility of research. We cannot able to reproduce the same result as been expected on multiple occasions. Inadequate regulatory understanding, because obviously as the technology is evolving and developing, regulatory bodies also doing a handshake to understand how the technologies are actually being used and different complexity involved into it. There are certain bottlenecks, and obviously the late or the absent industry involvement, right? So if the industry is not evolving at early phase, there are the chances that we are going to miss the entire progressive technological shift. So these are the certain bottlenecks. But having said that, what are the different strategies can be implemented effectively to get the successful translation from the concept to the reality, from drug discovery to the market, so different strategies has to be implemented effectively at every single level. Now, overcoming the bottlenecks, the key strategies, and while I was saying the key strategies, there might be a few more aspects can be plugged into as a part of the strategy, and get the outcome desires to overcome the all bottlenecks. But more or less from the eagle perspective, from the 360-degree angle and the realistic world, these are the strategies can be implemented to get the desired outcomes. First of all, the industry involvement from the early research stages, right? Rather than using the AI at latter phase, let's get the as we do the product development in a phase-wise manner, right? While performing the trials, getting the outcome, then improving our trials and getting further results accordingly. So we should, when I say we must get involved at early phase of the research, so that whatever the chances of failures or let's say inaccuracy can be minimized, we can learn from such outcomes and improve the modeling accordingly, right? So these are the things can be implemented. Robust preclinical validations, right? This is something very important. The preclinical validation, as we get the outcome, the validation must to be done. And if this strategies are implemented every single phase, then chances of errors, chances of bias can be removed to the 100% accuracy level, right? And the multidisciplinary research teams. So when we have the drug discovery as various cross-functional departments work together as a one team, and therefore as AI are the central tool for the early phase of drug discovery, then we must have the cross-functional team which is cohesively working on such kind of technological experiments or modeling, so that the collective reviews, collective outcomes can be monitored, tracked, and the decision can be effectively be done, right? So these are important aspects. And on top of that, the biomarker driven development. So whatever the development that we have, that we are going to plan or we are doing, that must to have the biomarker so that we can do the validations effectively. And as I said, the early engagement with the regulators. As we do the engagement in the research phase, we also get engaged with the regulatory body at early phase rather than waiting for the entire dossier to be ready and filed to the regulatory bodies. So if we engage the regulatory bodies, let's say we build the preclinical data, okay, we submit those data at early stage itself to the regulatory, let the regulatory body review it, gives the feedback, all the back and forth can be happen at early phase, and we can enhance the outcome, enhance the quality rather than waiting for the end phase of development and then getting the go ahead or no go ahead decision. So go ahead or no go ahead can be taken at early phases itself. So this can improve a drastic outcome in the entire phase of drug discoveries. So these are more important from the industrial application perspectives, right? Okay, when we say about the regulatory, let's understand how the access comprehensive safeties will be in place. So regulatory acceleration pathways are the fast track pathways, breakthrough therapies, and the conditional approvals. So a regulatory body, as I said, we need to engage the regulatory body at early phases, because the early engagement can give the early outcome or the feedback from the regulatory bodies. So fast track approval can be enhanced. As I said, regulatory also are using the AI tools in their review mechanisms, in their scrutiny processes, in the dossier analysis process, so that they get the better outcome. So what are the different acceleration pathways at the global level and the different regulatory framework at the Indian level? I'm just giving the the holistic perspective. We are not going to deep dive inside into the each of the systems from the regulatory angle, but from the global regulatory acceleration pathways, here are the channels or the access level. US FDA fast track and the breakthrough therapy, this is one area where we can quickly engage the regulatory body. There is called the EMA Prima scheme, where we can file our dossiers at early stage and get the review mechanisms or the feedback from the regulatory body at early phase. So there are different schemes being run by the regulatory bodies. Conditional and the accelerated approvals, there are the certain conditions, there are certain accelerated approvals happen sometimes, right? Focus on unmet medical needs, right? For example, COVID-19, looking at the kind of pandemic situation, we must to have certain solution on that. So or on that particular phase, regulatory body came forward and done the fast track approval on those cases, right? Similarly, the goal faster patient access without compromising the safety. So global regulatory acceleration pathways are this. From the Indian context, Indian regulatory framework context, a strengthening of the CDSCO and the DCGI processes, this is where we can enhance the acceleration, right? Clinical trial reforms and the transparency, okay? Digitalization of the submission, which has already been done, by the way. Let me tell you proudly that Indian regulatory bodies is at par with the global regulatory agencies as of today when it comes to the systems, when it comes to the digitalizations, and when it comes to the regulations, right? So it's at par now. So they are already been heavily been using the lot of systems, right? Then expansion of the pharmacovigilance system. So these are the certain key development areas where by which regulatory assessment and the fast track acceleration can be happen, right? So these are the broader perspective on that side. Okay. I think it's clear to all of us on this particular point, right? Okay. Having said that, let's move further and see what documentation and AI model technical, which is part of the submission ready thinking strategy. Okay. So technical file, AI model technical file, which is we used to say as dossier. Now as the documents or the data is being generated from the AI models, it's called the AI model technical file. So documentation is must. There is no bypass. We have to comply from the regulatory angle. So suggested sections which basically involves the context of use, right? That has to be very clear at early phase itself. Decision impact, if what are the decisions are going to be set, must be captured clearly, and intended users, how the AI is going to use at the end of the day, and which are the different users, that has to be very well defined. So documentation is something is very crucial in the pharmaceutical drug discovery process. So we have to comply with the documentation point of view. Now, from the commercial perspective, the fundamental or partnerable asset, fundable aspect of the AI, how exactly? So key elements to build, let's say we have the AI, which has been used at very early phase of development or the drug discovery, right? And on top of that, uh, different strategies been implemented, we have the high chances to build the early IP. Okay, so intellectual property which is being generated at latter phase, let's have it at the early phase itself. So there is a novelty, there is a defensibility. So the commercially, we have the heavy scope to generate the revenues or get the protections, IP protections at early phase, and therefore the industries are deploying the AI at every phase of the industrial cycles, right? And from the CMC or the formulation, where AI can be de-risk, scale up, and quality QBT alignment. So CMC or the QBT, okay, AI can support the formulation selections, the process optimization, the quality monitoring. So we have the quality by design that can be enhanced, that can be improved, and we can get the outcome with the help of the AI. These are the scope where formulation selections, still the quality monitoring can be enhanced or improved in a greater extent, right? So operating um, aspects where the regulatory alignment happens, there has to be a collaboration. So effective collaboration, um, patterns, joint translation labs, and the shared data set. So as I said, we must need to have the comprehensive and cross-functional team working on this particular projects in the real world, so that that effective collaboration can give the desired outcome in a short period of time, right? We can save a lot from the decision analysis perspective, as well as the outcome-based research perspective, right? And okay, so basically what we have saw completely is the angle where the AI, from the algorithm to approval, where their entire regulatory strategies and as well as the commercial angle has been discovered, analyzed, studied, and implemented. So the bottom crux of the entire presentation is that the AI is shaping the real transformation in the real world. There are a heavy advancement and a great applications, different models are available with that. However, there are also challenges when it comes to translation. So ultimately, while using the AI in day-to-day operations in the research, we also need to see how balanced, validated, and effective outcome comes without compromising on the safety, efficacy, and also without compromising on the scientific data set which is required for the regulatory filing. So we have to have the balanced approach while using the AI tools in research versus regulatory analysis, approval, and documentation. So that is the bottleneck, the bottom crux of the entire talk today. And I hope most of the participants got the better clarity how the AI is shaping the drug discovery in the real world. Of course, here we are open to question and answer sessions, and any things that you wanted to know, please ask here, and I will pause for a few moments so that I can get any questions from you. and then I will try to give one or two cases and some kind of a smart checklist which is used from the AI perspective, from the drug discovery or the drug development point of view, so that we get the better outcome in the real world, right? So I conclude my talk here and open for the any questions so far, right? So ultimately, the key takeaways: AI creates the value when tied into a decision gate with a clear context of use. So COU, context of use, is the crux in the AI modeling. So that has to be done, right? So thank you so much for very patient listening, and I look forward for addressing your questions. Yeah, thank you, and open to all. Yes, over to you, ma'am.
Sir, 1 minute wait, sir.
Sure.
Madam is on call, sir.
I hope let's hear from the all the participants, because I feel participants are from various specialities and the backgrounds, and from various organizations, institutes. So they have pretty, I mean, first of all, they understood the complete aspect, but at the same time, if any kind of clarity or doubt, if you have, I'm here to resolve that. Okay, first of all, how you like the presentation? You can just give the responses in the chat. Whether it's a useful, effective learning from today's session. You can just reply like if you got everything. Yes, useful. Great, thank you. Yes, I think there are a couple of questions. We can address that. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Srinath. Okay. So there's a question from B now. Can you give information regarding the AI tools used in the clinical trials? Okay, so precisely we can definitely see that from the industry point of view. First of all, when it comes to AI, there are various models are in the market, right? When I say market, I'm inclusive with the IT companies, right? But however, the AI which is relevant to the our application, that we have to study from our side, right? So uh, in practicality, there are many tools which is called, let's say a few example, in silico medicines. These are the platform. Okay. There is called the benevolent AI, which has been used in the industry. There is called the deep purpose AI model, okay, which is used in the industry on various drug discovery as well as the drug development phases, right? There are the methods in the AI which has been used, which is called the knowledge graphs, okay, multi-omics analysis, okay, network pharmacology, deep learning. These are the various methods. When it comes to the virtual screening as part of the clinical trials or the drug discovery phase and the hit discovery, right? So there are tools which is being used called the deep chem, okay. Then there's an autodoc, which is being used in a regular practice. Then AlphaFold, okay. These are the tools used where the AI has the application on the molecular docking information, as well as the SBDD, which is called the structural based drug design. These are the application. These tools are providing virtual compound libraries and the generative molecular design. So these applications given by the AI on this particular tools, which I just mentioned, are used in the drug discovery phase. Then when it comes to the lead optimization, okay, or the molecular designing requirement, so AI tools or the platforms called the ChemTS or Deep Drug are used, and they are used the techniques called the generative AI, reinforcement learning, as well as the QSR modeling and the predictive chemistry. So these are the applications or techniques they are using in the modelings. And when it comes to toxicology predictions, now you can see there are the various models for very specific applications or use, right? And therefore, we have to be choose and pick as per our requirement. For the ADME or the toxicology predictions, we have the ADMAT predictor tool. There is a Protox 2 tool, right? If you want, I will definitely pass on this entire tools information to the organizer, and you can get it noted via them. You will get the copy of all the tools and their applications and everything shared with you, right? So these are there. From the clinical trial designing and optimization point of view, there is a called Deep 6 AI. Okay, metadata solutions, trial pathfinders. These are tools. Now, coming from the manufacturing perspective or the quality industry 4.0 point of view, there are the tools called the Aspen Plus or the SICK. They are being used in the manufacturing point of view, right? For the pharmacovigilance and the real world evidence basis, the tools called the Oracle Argus Safety. I think you possibly heard about this Oracle Argus Safety, right? There's a VG-based tool also available, right? So there are many tools as per our need. We have to choose and pick as per the requirement, right? What about, okay, let's switch to the next question. What about status of Indian pharma and AI? Okay. Indian pharmaceutical industry, let me tell you, are using the AI in real world. Okay. And for example, I can quote the few example of the industry who are using it. For example, Dr. Reddy's, Sun Pharma, Cipla, then there's a Glenmark. Okay, they are using the AI in their early phase development as well as the drug development phases, right? And AI is you will be very surprised, since this information is may not be publicly available very smoothly, but many of the Indian pharma companies are using the AI, various tools, various software models for their operations, as I mentioned, in various phases from your preclinical studies to toxicological analysis to drug targeting from the formulation point of view, early phase development, or let's say formulation development, lab scale level. And then for the manufacturing also, there are various tools AI tools are being used. On top of that, from the manufacturing and the supply chain management point of view, there is automation is happening, machine learning tools are being used, and end-to-end targeting of the dosage from the supply chain management, it's been used, right? And from the research perspective in the laboratory, in the R&D, there are many tools where the report writing or the research writing, as well as analysis and the predictions of the output from the various data sets are being used in the industry. So I think you got the point. It's the part of the day-to-day life in the industry. AI is no more what do you call a surprise. It's a reality. It's been used. Yeah, thank you. So, okay, Rohini, thank you, sir. Very informative session, but small doubt if we are using AI, it is new technology based on this. If in future, if we get any adverse effects after usage of drug due to idiosyncrasy. Okay. So first of all, I think the point is valid. Your concern is valid. There are, as I the entire presentation you saw, there are chances, there are some bottlenecks in the technological perspective also. But yes, AI is part of the research, part of the development in the various organization as of today, right? Number one. Number two, as the technology is evolving, the models are also evolving. So we are getting much more better versions. For example, just to quote a very simple example, few months back, I mean, when let's say the Chat GPT launch is very foundational or the basic version. And now today you see there are at least 5 to 6 versions available, at least 5.2, 5.3 versions are available. So what does that mean? The technology itself, the platform itself is upgrading now and then. as there is an improvement in the technologies, right? Similarly, when it comes to the AI tools from the pharmaceutical scientific environment, the tools are also upgrading now and then, right? And therefore, chances of errors, chances of biases are minimizing. And most important, irrespective of the technological development, the scientific minds, the human minds, is the ultimate decision maker to go ahead or not to go ahead, right? So this asset, this knowledge asset, with the human, analysis, is something important to take a final call, right? And when it comes to the adverse drug reactions monitoring is concerned, as I said, we have the high level of accuracies. There are many effective softwares and the platforms available which gives the highest level of accuracy. On top of that, one is the automation of and the monitoring, and second is action. So action has been taken by the regulatory bodies as per the level of adverse reactions is concerned, whether the product has to be recalled from the market or kept on hold for a while. That decision comes on the level of complexity or the adverse reactions is concerned. So the chances of, if I further zero down the discussion, then chances of having the adverse effect in the compound or the molecule at early cases were very high. Whereas now, as you know, every single molecule, every single product, every single medicines has its own adverse effects, right? But with the help of heavy data tools, with the precise capacity and capability to analyze the massive data sets, scientific data sets, then and on top of that, the precise drug targeting and the modeling, we can minimize, we can control, we can fine tune the compound in a much better way today, and thereby we can reduce the level of adverse effects, or let's say side effects in the molecule, and we get the very better version of the compounds in the coming days. And as you're going to also observe in the coming days, like this is a message to all of us, that uh, the drug discovery and drug development is going to happen very fast. You're going to witness new novelty molecules, new formulations in the market very soon, because uh, AI is in place. We are exploring now, but the industry is already explored, implemented, and used the AI since at least last 5 to 7 years heavily, right? So therefore, you're going to see many products which has been introduced with the help of the AI in the coming days, right? I hope I addressed your question, Rohini ji. Yes. Yeah. So, is there any further questions? Thank you. Okay. Any additional questions? No. If not, then I would quickly wanted to take you through the checklist, very basic, but most important and vital checklist, which can be used for the entire, AI framework. Very quickly, I will take my moment. Will take hardly a couple of minutes on this, and then absolutely we conclude the session. I will hand over the session to Dr. Sheikh for further conclusion. Right. So let me share the checklist with you, and this copy of checklist will come with you, via the organizer, and also I will share you one
Dear
case study.
participants, is there any questions or any queries? It's the time to question time.
Right. So I'm sharing one checklist with you. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Very
Yeah.
informative.
I think all the
Your
question
session
has
is
been
very
yeah, it's all addressed. I will forward this entire case studies as well as checklist to
yes.
you, so that you can share across with the
Yeah,
participants, right?
to our participants. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah, yeah.
sir.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir. Behalf of Asha Nagarj University, I would like to express my gratitude of thanks to you, sir. And it is our pleasure to have such a wonderful resource person like you, sir. Okay, and we will contact you later, sir. And we will conducting in future various FDP programs, and I will invite you as a resource person. Okay, so thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Have a great day. It's indeed my great pleasure to interact with you and look forward for further engagement in the near future. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, sir. Dear participants, that is the end of today's morning session. We will meet again another session that is at 2:30 p.m. I will share the link at 2 p.m. Thank you.